Blue Origin was founded in 2000, that's 25 years ago. For most of its lifetime, developments were behind the scenes without much to show. Recently though, the company has been executing at a blistering pace. Let's look at some of their achievements over the last few years. They won a $3.4 billion contract from NASA for the Artemis 5 mission, making them a key player in crewed lunar landings. Resumed flights of New Shepard, their suborbital launch vehicle, helping them to refine their landing and reuse technology. Flew their heavy launch vehicle New Glenn for the first time with Blue Ring, their orbital transfer vehicle on board. Just last month, New Glenn flew for a second time, and on this flight landed their first stage on Jacqueline, their landing ship. Now, Blue Origin announced a new, more powerful version of New Glenn with more engines. Today in this video, I'll cover the changes to the New Glenn vehicle, introduce their Blue Ring space tug, cover Blue Alchemist, a team of experts working on extracting off-world resources, and the latest updates on their plans for Mars. Okay, first, let's look at the introduction of their Super Heavy launch vehicle. Super Heavy New Glenn variant 9x4. Blue announced the details on their first Super Heavy class vehicle. Expect even more powerful vehicles from them in the future, but we'll leave New Armstrong for another video. This New Glenn variant will have more volume, performance, and according to Blue, be more affordable. It's designated 9x4 or 9x4. Not a great name, but it's the only name we have from Blue. In addition to the improved performance, it has an 8.7 meter fairing, almost the same as Starship, with an internal volume of 29,000 cubic feet, nearly 70% more than New Glenn's current 7x2 configuration. It's an evolution of their current vehicle, not a radical redesign. Most of the existing designs, subsystems, manufacturing processes and operations will be the same. Upgraded second stage performance. With double the number of second stage BE-3U engines, the second stage can carry over 70 metric tons to low Earth orbit, over 14 metric tons to geostationary orbit, and 20 metric tons towards the Moon. Its powerful second stage, delivering over 100% the performance of the 7x2 configuration. Blue seems to have mega constellations in mind with their upgraded vehicle. They also mentioned deep space exploration and national security missions as benefiting from their more powerful 9x4 configuration. The changes to subsystems will be introduced over time, beginning with NG-3, their third and next mission. This could possibly be their Moon mission using the Mark 1 cargo lander, but the schedule is tight, so that may slip by a month or two. This graphic shows the head-to-head comparison between the current 7x2 and the future 9x4 configuration. With 2 additional engines on the first stage and double the number of engines on the second stage, plus the wider fairing, many new mission profiles become possible. Missions to low Earth orbit, the Moon, Mars and beyond are supported. Blue has plans for a reusable fairing to support increased flight rates, a lower cost tank design, and a better performing thermal protection system, to name some of their upgrades. Blue plans for both variants to serve the market concurrently, in a similar way to Ariane or Vulcan Centaur, having multiple variants depending on the mission requirements. Okay, let's move on to their orbital transfer vehicle. Blue Ring Orbital Space Tug. Blue describes the vehicle as a highly maneuverable multi-destination spacecraft. Unusually for a space tug, Blue Ring has 2 propulsion systems, a chemical thruster and an ion thruster, giving it the flexibility of high thrust for big maneuvers or fine-tuning or station-keeping tasks using the highly efficient ion thrusters. The purpose of the vehicle is to provide last-mile services, placing hosted spacecraft or payloads exactly in the orbit required by the customer. It can deploy payloads to Earth orbits, the Moon, Mars, interplanetary and near-Earth asteroid destinations. Blue Ring has a delta V of 3 to 4 km per second. That is, it can change its velocity by that amount. Think of it as the maneuverability of a vehicle. The higher the delta V, the more it can maneuver in space and perform useful tasks. The Blue Ring spacecraft can carry over 4 tons on board, with 1 large capacity forward port and 12 smaller radial ports. It can launch on any vehicle 5 meter class fairing launch vehicle, This includes all the medium launch vehicles such as Falcon 9, Ariane 6, Vulcan Centaur, and future vehicles from Stoke Space, Relativity Space, and Rocket Lab. Okay, let's look at their plans for resource harvesting on the moon. Blue Alchemist, working towards permanent expansion of humanity beyond Earth. Blue has a dedicated team of experts working on converting lunar regolith into usable resources. Their focus, to begin with, is on creating solar panels, metals, and breathable and propellant-grade oxygen using lunar simulant materials. Why haul supplies from Earth at enormous cost when you can excavate, process, and refine materials from lunar soil? That's exactly what Blue plans to do. The Blue Alchemist team have built a molten regolith electrolysis reactor powered by solar energy that melts the lunar soil, extracting valuable metals, materials, and volatiles in the process. The system can produce breathable oxygen, propellant-grade oxygen for refueling, metals, and construction materials, all essential for a sustainable lunar base and permanent presence on the moon. From this image provided by the Blue Alchemist team, we can see materials such as iron, silicon, glasses, and ceramics extracted from their reactor. Once the Blue Alchemist system is operational on the moon, and later on Mars, it will support production of solar panels, propellants, construction materials, glass for windows and solar panel covers, wiring for power systems, and life support with oxygen and water. Blue expects this system could reduce the cost of lunar landings by 60% and reduce fuel cell mass by up to 70%. In September of this year, their technology passed Critical Design Review, or CDR. With a successful CDR behind them, the Blue Alchemist team are ready for the next phase, an autonomous demonstration in a simulated lunar environment in 2026. Also in September, Blue announced Project Oasis, an initiative to identify key lunar resources from orbit. Oasis 1, alongside Luxembourg partners, will be their first mission in the campaign. The purpose will be to create the most detailed, high-resolution maps so far of lunar water ice, helium-3, radionuclides, rare earth elements, precious metals, and other materials necessary for human expansion throughout the solar system. Blue Origin's Mark 1 cargo lander. Can it put boots on the moon? Jared Isaacman, the newly appointed NASA administrator, revealed in his confidential plans for NASA that Blue Origin has an architecture to quickly put boots on the moon using the Mark 1 cargo lunar lander and its New Glenn launcher. If you are not familiar with these vehicles, the Mark 1 can deliver 3 tons of payload to the lunar surface, while the Mark 2 is a crewed vehicle that can transport astronauts to the moon and back to lunar orbit. Artemis is NASA's plan to return to the moon in a sustainable way and later onto Mars. One intriguing comment in Jared's Project Athena plan is where he states, credibility of New Glenn plus Orion are in-house for possible Artemis 4 Plus as competitor to Starship, unquote. So it looks like he is considering launching the Orion crew vehicle on Blue's New Glenn instead of SLS. This would massively reduce the cost of crewed missions to the moon, as each SLS launch costs $2.5 billion. Also the comment about in-house, suggesting that Blue Origin could provide their own lander, a Mark 1 cargo lander perhaps. There has been talk of using the Mark 1 to quickly get astronauts back on the surface of the moon. A viable architecture to get astronauts on the moon using a repurposed Blue Origin Mark 1 cargo lander does exist. It requires launching 3 Mark 1 landers, one as a descent lander to the moon's surface, one for a rover and supplies, and the third as the ascent lander. The Orion vehicle would be launched using the New Glenn launcher. It would loiter in lunar orbit waiting for the Mark 1 descent lander to appear and dock with Orion. In the meantime, the other 2 landers, the ascent vehicle and supply vehicle, land on the moon. 2 crew from the Orion transfer to the descent vehicle and land on the moon. After surface operations, they transfer to the ascent vehicle, blast off, rendezvous with Orion in lunar orbit, and head back to Earth. This architecture works without refueling because instead of 1 lunar lander, 3 separate vehicles are used which have enough onboard fuel to perform their tasks without refueling. Blue Origin and Mars. NASA, subject to budget approval, wants to launch a competition to design, build and deploy a Mars telecommunications orbiter to support future Mars landings. The contract is worth $1 billion. Once in orbit around Mars, the satellite will act as a relay network to provide continuous coverage between Earth and Mars. Blue Origin is keen to compete for this contract and proposed Blue Ring for the mission. Blue states they'll be ready to launch in 2028 using a repurposed Blue Ring space tug to host communications equipment for NASA. They've also made a proposal for a commercial Mars sample return mission. Although with Jared Isaacman's push for human exploration, this mission may be sidelined. We'll just have to wait and see. One more piece of news about Blue. In a post on their X account recently, they revealed a full-scale deployable aerobrake unit. This can be used to slow down spacecraft around planets with atmospheres. Earth, of course, but also Mars has a thin atmosphere. The aerobrake is an advanced thermal protection system in two configurations, 10 meters and 16 meters. A key application is for Mars aerocapture, which can save hundreds of tons of mass. New Glenn's fairing can fit 5 10-meter aerobrake systems in a single launch. Upcoming events. A Blue Ring mission is expected to launch in 2026. It will be heading to geostationary transfer orbit, with additional services performed in geostationary orbit. The Pathfinder mission for the Mark 1 lunar lander will launch in early 2026. This mission will prove out critical systems, including the BE-7 engine, cryogenic fluid power and propulsion systems, avionics, continuous download communications, and precision landing on the rim of Shackleton crater with 100-meter accuracy. This mission is not part of the Artemis program. It is the required demo mission to prove the vehicle is ready for Artemis missions. SpaceX's Starship is also required to carry out the same uncrewed demo mission. For more on Blue Origin, check out my other videos. I've covered the Mark 1 and Mark 2 lunar landers in detail, their cislunar transporter, a fuel shuttle vehicle, and Blue's vision for space exploration and settlement. What do you think of Blue Origin's new Super Heavy launch vehicle and second stage? What do you think about using the Mark 1 lunar lander for a quick crewed mission to the moon to beat China? Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments section below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this space video, consider buying me a copy to help fund more episodes like this. The link is in the description. Space News Live is on Saturday evening or Sunday morning, depending where you watch from. The live stream is a great way for you to share your thoughts and opinions on the videos I posted this week, or on any space topic in general. I highlight the most thought-provoking comments on videos I received, along with previews of upcoming content. If you got the time, please tune in and say hi. Be sure to like and subscribe so you'll see our upcoming videos. We make videos every week covering the space industry with an emphasis on the smaller space startups that aren't covered so well on other channels. See you soon.